Okay, and again, welcome all of you to the Bonita Unified School Board Candidates Virtual Forum. The date is Thursday, September 8th, and we are doing this live via Zoom. For those who are watching this after the fact, please enjoy. The goal of tonight is to get you connected to all of the candidates and get them better acquainted with the community that they desire to serve. For those that are unfamiliar with the Bonita Democratic Council, I just wanted to share a little bit of information on who the council is. It was started in 2005, and our bylaws as a club chartered by the LA County Democratic Party is to endeavor to stimulate an active interest in governmental affairs and to publicize local, state, and national activities. The election of 3 school board members for the Bonita Unified School District is a local activity that we strive to stimulate an active interest in. And we hope that both this forum and the 12-question questionnaire that we have invited all candidates to respond to is beneficial to every single voter that decides to vote in the upcoming election for November 2022. As I mentioned, and if you were unaware, we asked every single candidate who's running to answer 12 questions prior to this forum, understanding that 2 hours will never ask all of the questions that someone may want to ask of the candidates. And so the 12 questions gets us started in getting better acquainted with each of the candidates who wish to represent us on the Bonita Unified School District School Board. So for those who are live with us, you'll have the links that you can click on, but you can also scan or take a picture of that QR code, and it will take you right to all 3 of the questionnaires. And just so you know, we did receive some of these questions from members of the public, but as I mentioned, we have already asked 12 questions of each of the candidates, and these are the 12 questions that have been asked, and their responses are currently available on the summaries. I will post the Google link in the chat box that you can access anytime after this forum. But again, you will be able to take a picture of that QR code or use any of those links in the actual slideshow. Also know all of the attendees today will receive a link that will be active after and during this forum to access all of the material that we reference. This slideshow will also be available for you to access during and after this forum and at your convenience. These are the districts that we'll be talking about tonight. There are 3 areas that are up for election. We have trustee area 2, trustee area 3, and as I mentioned, the third one is an unexpired term, which is a district-wide election for this cycle. So everyone will have an opportunity to vote for that seat. You may or may not live in trustee area 2 or 3, but those are the 2 that are up for the November 2022 election cycle. The next slide gives you some basic information as to why what we do is so important. And just by the numbers, there are 29,889 registered voters for this race, district-wide. But we know that the likely voters are just under 23,000. Okay, that means about 23,000. I'm sorry, 23% of the eligible voters will not participate in this election cycle. So our goal to endeavor to stimulate interest in this race, or in these three races that will benefit the Bonita Unified School District, is very important to us. And again, we hope that you find value in both tonight's forum and also the questionnaire, and that you share it with your family, friends, neighbors, and relatives who live in the district-wide and in trustee area 2 and 3. We want to thank all of the candidates who said yes to our invite, because you didn't have to. I want to thank Crystal, Jim, Chris Ann, and Brittany for taking the time out of what will likely prove to be a very busy campaign cycle. I hope you all have opportunities to say yes to other forum opportunities and give voters the opportunity in different venues and different times and places to get better acquainted with you, so that they're comfortable when they get their ballots as early as October 10th to vote for people that they hopefully know better through the process of community forums like this. For anyone who has joined us through reserving a spot prior to, I would say, 5 o'clock today, you got these ground rules. So I'm not going to spend too much time on them because I know you'd much rather get to the candidates' opening statements. But this is the sequence of the opening statements. And we ask everyone to remain muted other than the one candidate who is speaking at the time. We do have a timekeeper who will have a timer that goes off at the maximum amount of time. And if you're not wrapped up within 5 to 10 seconds after that time, you will in fact be muted. So encourage all of the candidates to self-monitor so that we're not abruptly ending your statements. But this is the sequence of the opening statements. This is how the Q&A portion of the meeting will go. And just know that we have already received more questions than we will likely be able to get through tonight. So knowing that, we will communicate to all of the candidates the questions that were unasked so that you can do with it what you will. You may want to respond to them individually, or you may just want to know that these are the questions, these are the concerns of the community members that you wish to serve. And then lastly, this is the sequence for the closing statements. It's in reverse order of the opening statements. We're wanting to give the candidates equal opportunity to be first and to be last. We feel that that's probably the fairest way of operating. So without further ado, I just want to remind the attendees, you are our guests. The stars of the show are our candidates, and we want to hear from them more than background noise from our attendees and guests. So please remain muted. All candidate questions will be posed by the moderator, who happens to be me. And again, due to the fact that we have received more questions than we will likely be able to ask, we will share those questions to the candidates after the fact. And that's it for my slideshow. Hopefully that is the most you'll hear from me tonight as your moderator. I am looking forward to hearing from our candidates just as much as you are. And so I am going to stop the share screen. Let's see. And I am going to invite Crystal to kick us, Yes, Crystal to kick us off on the opening statements. And as a reminder, the opening statements will be a maximum of 3 minutes.
Good evening, Bonita Democratic Council, constituents of Bonita Unified School Board, and everybody who's watching tonight. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in because these forums are such an important way to get to know all of the candidates and also for such important roles in our community. My name is Crystal Jones-Bacon, and it's an honor to be here tonight to be running as a candidate in the Trustee District 2. I'm a mother to 2 wonderful daughters, a wife to a high school teacher, and also a professional in the finance sector. And I am a volunteer extraordinaire, as people like to make fun of me. I currently sit on the board of multiple PTAs and a couple different boosters, as well as the Superintendent's Advisory, previous endemic committees, and site councils. I am proud to be a Bonita parent, and I'm proud to be a resident in this community, and I am proud of the schools and the work that this board has done, and I am looking forward to the ability to serve on this board and continue my volunteer work and my service to our community. I have 4 main goals that I'm looking to help improve our school board with. They are improving safety for our students, because when students feel safe, they perform and they learn better. Partnering with our local community colleges to ensure that we are furthering the ability for our students to pursue both what they're looking for academically as well as career-wise, whether that's while they are still in school in Bonita or enrolled in Bonita Unified, or after they've graduated. I would love to participate or facilitate collaboration across the district to ensure that all of our sites are operating with the available best practices. And lastly, I would love to increase transparency in our district to ensure that all parents feel like they are being heard and understood, and then also that all parents understand where these important decisions are coming from. I have a passion for educating the whole child and developing critical thinkers, and I am committed to some creative solutions to benefit all of our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Next, we have Jim.
Good evening. My vision is simple. Number 1, to work hard with my board colleagues and the superintendent to ensure students have access to their dreams on the road to living their purpose. 2, to ensure that Bonita Unified has the resources needed to deliver excellence both today and in the future, and to proactively improve how the board and superintendent communicates with stakeholders and communities it serves. With this campaign, I recommit myself, my time, and my experience to the school district I love by renewing my candidacy for the Bonita Unified School District Board of Education, the district where my 2 children graduated, and where I was proud to have been a part of the governing board team of 6 for 15 years, starting in 2003. A time when challenges were met with thoughtful yet deliberate decision-making by leveraging built relationships with our partners, always with an eye toward the future. In September of 2021, I was appointed to the school board to fill a vacancy left by a resignation. I am grateful to have this opportunity to serve again, and I remain hopeful for the future. I pledge to be relentless about focusing on excellence in educating our students and in serving the disparate communities at this challenging time in our history. Being a responsible school board member means that your decisions can never be about you or your personal political interests or ideology. I know that behavior of one board member can reflect on the entire board and superintendent as a whole. Decisions a board member makes must always be about what is best for students within the boundaries of the law, education code, and now more than ever, common sense and fair play. I respect the board as an institution and understand that boards must deal with difficult issues, from budgets to grievances and everything in between. However, the board has the responsibility to set a very public and positive tone, and the board must make their decisions based on equity, fairness, establish goals and priorities, and all within the resources the district has to work with. I take seriously the oath a school board member makes to the office and the public trust it entails. Trust which must be earned and maintained in the course of your duties and responsibilities, which should be grounded in commitment and focus on the understanding of how your actions relate to the bigger picture. Tonight, I recommit to all of you now in the months ahead to continue to learn, listen, ask questions, and to collaborate as a member of the team, all while looking for every opportunity to celebrate our shared successes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. So we have next, Brittany.
Good evening. Thank you for hosting this and for giving us the opportunity to be heard. I know communities should feel heard and understood, and that leaders should be consensus builders for effective decision-making and responsible stewards of public resources. I'm committed to serving Laverne and San Dimas and putting our students and their futures first. If elected, I will be a tireless voice for the community and our students. I will advocate for opportunities that empower every student to live their purpose and continue the excellence of Bonita Unified School District. As a school board member, I would prioritize expanding opportunities. Every education journey is different, so increasing career and technical education opportunities, collegiate dual enrollment programs, community partnerships, support for students with special needs, and even exploring dual language immersion ensures we meet the needs of our students today and remain a leader in education in the future. I prioritize supporting families and staff. As a parent, I value transparent communication, and I want to see it made easier for families to be involved in their students' education. We have incredible educators and administrators in this district, and I want to see them uplifted by ensuring that they have the materials, training, and the community support they need. I prioritize strengthening health and wellness. I think every BUSD student, and frankly, every student in the world, should learn practical tools for stress and anxiety management and have access to any necessary interventions. We need our students to be well, feel safe, and receive the support they need. And there's some of these incredible things already happening across our campuses. So I'd also like to encourage increased collaboration and sharing of best practices throughout the district, as well as amongst parents in the community. As a former educator, I understand some of the needs in the classroom, and I also know that no classroom is the same. As someone who has managed family businesses and served as a nonprofit executive, I understand the value of community partnership and the role that a board has in maintaining fiscal balance. As a Roynan Elementary PTA member and through my district-wide leadership roles as vice president of the Laverne San Dimas Education Foundation, member of the Superintendent's Parent Advisory Committee, member of the district's Wellness Oversight Committee, I'm aware of district-wide issues, and I'm going to continue to work to develop solutions. As a board member, I would appreciate the opportunity to utilize these diverse experiences to continue and expand the success of our great district. My son and daughter are going to be in this district for many years to come. I have got so much skin in the game, and I'm invested in serving this community that I love for the students of today, as well as the students for tomorrow. And I would so enjoy the opportunity to support a school district that does so much for the future of our students and our communities. I look forward to answering your questions and really appreciate the opportunity to earn your support.
Thank you. Next, we have Chris Ann.
Good evening. I'm Chris Ann Horsley, and I'm running for the open seat on the Bonita School Board, which will serve the communities of both San Dimas and Laverne for the next 2 years. Matt, I want to thank you and the Bonita Democratic Council for hosting the event tonight, and I want to thank everyone watching through Zoom and those that will watch this once the video is made. If you're watching, you care about students in our communities. I want you to know how much I care as well. First, I firmly believe that a strong public school system is essential to the future of not only students, but to the communities that the district serves. Bonita has a proud history of educational excellence, and I've been part of their successful team of educators. I am nonpartisan, a good listener, an excellent problem solver, and I put students' needs first and have a reputation of following through and getting things done. I'd also like to share my background as it relates to Bonita. While I wasn't born and raised here, I have actually worked and lived here for over 22 years. My husband's family's been educated in Bonita for over 50 years, and I hope that I have grandchildren that will also attend Bonita schools. Educating students is a big responsibility, and we need an elected board member with proven skills, and I would be that board member. I retired last June from Bonita after 32 years of successful work in education at all levels. I have taught middle school and high school science and math. I taught a second job for 13 years part-time at the University of Laverne, teaching teachers educational methods, the use of assessments and data, and educational psychology. I was the Dean of Students at Bonita High School before becoming principal of Shoal Elementary for 17 years. And lastly, I was the elementary curriculum director for the last 5 years. During those years, I increased literacy first in my school and then across the district. My school attained the first National Blue Ribbon awarded in this district. And last year, before retiring, I was named the first administrator in California as a reading hero by the California Reading Coalition. With that said, I have new goals. Some of my goals as a board member will be improving school safety, supporting mental health services, promoting more collaboration with our parents, carefully expanding the transitional kindergarten program, expanding pathway opportunities for students, including dual enrollment courses with Mount SAC, and monitoring the processes we use to choose the next math curriculum in the next few years. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Ann. For the benefit of everyone, I have shared the Google folder that has all of tonight's reference material in the chat box. That includes the slideshow that I used and some of the reference material that we'll be using tonight with our questions. So kicking off the Q&A session will be Crystal. And the question is in regards to the roles and responsibilities of a school board member. According to the California School Boards Association, a board has 5 major governing responsibilities. 1, setting the direction for public schools in the community. 2, establishing an effective and efficient structure. 3, providing support. 4, ensuring accountability to the public. And 5, demonstrating community leadership. Under the establishing an effective and efficient structure is the employment of the superintendent. So, as a board member, and knowing that the district will need to make a decision on the new permanent superintendent, what steps do you feel a board should take in hiring the next superintendent? And again, we'll start with Crystal.
Thank you, Matt. I think that some of the most important steps that should be taken in considering a new superintendent or any superintendent would be a proven track record and a track record that agrees with the core values. So in Bonita, that would be equity, mastery, and the focus on results, and ensuring that somebody that we are hiring, whether it's internally or from externally, has a firm grasp and belief in those same core values that our district has. Additionally, we I think it would be important to look for somebody who has longevity and has a vision for our district and for any district. So somebody who is looking not to utilize Bonita Unified as a stepping stone for their next position or their next goal, but really comes into this district with a firm vision for where they want to take our district, and lead our district in the next 5, 10, and 15 years. Because I think that the beauty of our district is that we've had such tenured executive support and tenured board members for so long that it has allowed the leadership of our district to put forth goals that they have been able to watch and chase over a long term. And I think that that's something that sets Bonita apart, is that they are able to establish goals and then actually achieve and track them over a long term without continued turnover. So I think that those would be
Okay, thank you, Isabel. And our next individual to answer this question is Jim. And just as a reminder, the Q&A portion maximum is 1.5 minutes.
Thank you for the question. You're right. The responsibility of hiring a superintendent, and we have the opportunity to do that now with the transition, Mr. Coles. The board has taken action first to appoint Matt Ween as the acting, and last night we took action to, with contract, to appoint Mr. Ween as the interim superintendent. And that's a contract that will give us the room and time to look forward to a process. We're committed as a board, as am I, on a real process. The school boards, both as individuals and as a board member team, as a board team, most sacred responsibility is hiring the superintendent. It's their only employee. And the key thing is process, right? So I view this in a couple of ways, that focusing on process and that responsibility, that first you have to look internally. Internally means your internal stakeholders, district employees, and all of our stakeholders, bargaining unit groups. By way of process, I mean focus surveys in a very careful and thoughtful way. And then externally, the stakeholder groups and communities that we serve throughout our school district. And take our time and really get it right. By way of process, we're talking about a recruitment process that casts a wide net. The good news with Bonita Unified is we're in a very good place right now.
Thank you, Jim. Next on this question, we have Brittany.
As far as the steps to be taken, I think that it's important to both look internally and externally. Obviously, a wide net, as the previous candidate said, is a way to ensure that you get a variety of candidates, and that it's important at this time to have the discussion of what qualities, experience, and criteria are we looking to evaluate those candidates. And I also think that it's important that the process that's established has multiple levels, as far as you taking an initial application and then coming up with who are the few finalists, and then establishing what is the process that we want those finalists to go through, whether it's an in-depth interview, whether it's community engagement. We would want to establish who's going to be on this advisory board, if we want to take that outside input and all of that. And it's important to make sure that we're abiding by the process requirements for that. For me personally, I think it's important when we're looking at a superintendent to ensure that we see organizational management experience. It's really easy to love an educator and someone whose experience is in the classroom and all of these things. It's also important when we're looking at a superintendent to know that this is someone that's leading the entire district organization, and recognizing that there's multiple qualities that we want to look for. And that's why I think a tiered process that has multiple elements and perspectives looked at it would be important to pursue.
Why would we waste the money?
Thank you, Brittany. Now we have Chris Ann to wrap up this question.
Thank you, Matt. In the 22 years that I worked in the district, I believe we went through at least 6 superintendents, and I was frustrated with a number of the processes I saw the district go through. First, because the process is expensive, and when we get it wrong, the payouts are very costly. So first, we need to look to see if internal candidates are ready and interested in applying, and it's always a great compliment to the district when we have quality staff and employees move up and serve the district that they've dedicated so much time to. Next, we need to know what we want in a superintendent so that we ask the right questions, either of internal candidates or those from the outside. To do that, we need to survey staff and community members about the strengths they want in a new superintendent, and really ask if what they would want differently in a new superintendent. There are organizations that help boards hire candidates, but they do put some restrictions on the boards that sometimes make it really difficult to find out if a candidate is good or not. We should stay away from those at all costs. A simple ad on EdJoin or using our own process might lead to much better results, because Bonita is well known and people do want to come here. There is no more important job to a board than getting the hire of the superintendent correct. So this is going to be a very important process. And my compliments to the board, they've started really well.
Thank you, candidates. You all have survived your first introductions and your first questions of the season as candidates. And so we're going to transition to the second question. Starting us off will be Jim. Again, the maximum limit will be 1.5 minutes. Before I pose the question, I wanted to recognize and thank Tracy Ping, who is the BUTA president, who has joined us tonight in the audience. So welcome and thank you for your attendance. So again, going on to question number 2. Again, highlighting the California School Boards Association's 5 major governing responsibilities, one of them being ensuring accountability to the public. Board members approve the district budget. What is your experience with budget or financial management? And again, we're starting off with Jim.
Thank you for that question. My experience is varied, both in my time and experience with budgets with the school district as a board member, and in my professional career in my 35 years as a healthcare administrator. My current budget responsibility with the California Correctional Health Association is about $122 million. It varies from year to year, of course, depending on state budgets. Grave responsibility to look after inmate health. So I understand the mechanics and the responsibilities of budgeting. I understand the ins and outs of and the good years and not so good years with public funding. This year, we have a very good year, and we're able to reflect that in support of our staff. And I think anytime we can, we should reward our staff. But budgets are one of those things that we always have to be good stewards of. So again, I understand the engineering and ins and outs of budgets, and have a lot of experience with ups and downs and good years and bad years. And the key thing is working with our partners in an open and honest way through dialogue with our bargaining units, making sure that we all see the same information. We go to the same conferences, and we build trust over time. So budgeting is really more of a verb than a noun. So for me, it's about experience and building that trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next, we have Brittany.
Thank you. As I indicated in my opening statement, I did co-manage our family businesses. We had a law firm for over a decade, expanded it from last month's paycheck to a multi-state law firm. So I have that experience on the private side. Likewise, we also launched my husband and I launched a nonprofit, which gave me the unique experience with grant solicitation, donation solicitation, community partnership, and all the benefits that you can get from utilizing those strategies. And then I also serve as the vice president for the Education Foundation. I volunteered for a number of different nonprofit organizations and have been in the know of their budgeting and whatnot. And then also, I think a lot of times when you have this, what is the greater value behind budget? And that's being a good steward of a home, of a district, of our educational home. And so I think that value and that perspective is certainly important as well.
Thank you, Brittany. Next, we have Chris Ann.
Thanks, Matt. So as a board member, accountability is everything, from the policies we approve to the funding and the budgeting that we oversee. I have experience in this area. I actually did bookkeeping before I went into teaching. And as a principal, it was one part of the big role that I had, but I was always pleased when I utilized correct funding every year to support students and spent down to the correct amount so there wasn't too much carryover, but there was enough of a cushion that if state funding crashed in the next year, we would be okay. At the district, that's just expanded. Board members have to carefully review what they approve. I have experience with the district budget because I was asked by Matt Ween, the Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services, to facilitate working with business services to add all the funding sources to each and every goal and action item in our local accountability, local area accountability plan, or the LCAP. And I did this for the last 5 years. So I do know where the money is in the district, where it comes from, and how we lay it out to support all the goals in the district. I've also written many board item proposals, know their format, the importance of reading them correctly. And I would enjoy and excel at this part of the work of being a board member. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Ann. And to wrap up this question, we have Crystal.
So my experience when it comes to budgets and accountability on the school district side or on the school side and volunteer, I have had a lot of experience in working with the PTA, boosters, and bingo budgets and ensuring that we are able to move forward and facilitate the items and programs that we want to assist with in the school, while maintaining our budgets to move on to the following years. In my personal employment, I have experience in managing both the budgets and expenditures of others on a very, very close basis, just in what I do every day. And as a steward of my own home, I have managed budgets since I've turned 18. And I can honestly say that in that time, you know, there have been wonderful years and there have been very tough, very hard years. And I think that through all these different types of experiences, you really develop the keen eye for what can be done, what can we do for less, where does the money need to go? And I think that also with that, you know, we have an amazing community and we have amazing unions, and working with those unions to ensure that within our budgets, we are providing, you know, for the employees what they need.
Thank you, Crystal. Okay, so now we're going to transition to question 3. And starting us off on this question will be Brittany. Again, going back to the 5 major governing responsibilities as outlined by the California School Boards Association, one of those responsibilities is demonstrating community leadership. And for that portion, we're going to ask you what organizations, service clubs, committees do you actively support in our community, either as a volunteer or as a leader? And again, kicking us off on that question is Brittany.
So as I mentioned, me and my husband did start a local nonprofit, which was awarded Assembly District 41 Nonprofit of the Year back in 2020. We have partnered with the school district on a 10-month-long community roundtable that brought together the school district, our nonprofit, community members, and local stakeholders, as well as union representatives. I'm on my kids' elementary school PTA, saw them packing up cans one day after Friday, and just like that, I'm also on their beautification committee. I'm vice president for the Laverne San Dimas Education Foundation. I'm on the Laverne Historical Society. I'm an ASO coach. Community involvement and leadership is kind of the name of my game. I'm constantly wanting to connect with different areas of the community. And I honestly think that becomes one of my greatest assets as a potential board member, is that I am not, I'm on the Superintendent Parents Advisory Committee. Last year I was on their wellness, the district wellness oversight committee. Sorry, I forgot those two, and they're also specific to the district. So the thing that I appreciate is that I do have specific connection and leadership in the district. I have specific connection and leadership outside of the district. And being that the board members are the bridge between the two, I see that to be especially advantageous.
Thank you, Brittany. Next, we have Chris Ann.
Okay, I grew up in a family where service to others was valued and volunteer and community work was really encouraged. And then even as a principal, I wanted to make sure that students also experienced that joy of giving or supporting nonprofits. So for 17 years, we did fundraisers for either the American Cancer Society, the American Heart Association. We did food drives and arranged angel tree gifts for economically at-risk families. At the city level, I've worked with the traffic safety committees on crosswalks and traffic lights, and lately served on a 4-city committee to create a plan for safe routes for families and bicyclists to use between Claremont, Laverne, San Dimas, and Glendora. I also served on Laverne's Youth and Family Committee when I was the dean at Bonita High School, and then served on the San Dimas Youth and Family Committee when it was active. I have supported the events and fundraisers of the Bonita Educational Foundation for many years. And additionally, with my family, for 5 years, I've supported one of my teachers who left teaching to do a Christian mission overseas. Lastly, I'm currently the president of Seroptimus International San Dimas and Laverne. I work with a wonderful group of women to put on Bonita's Children, where we take 65 at-risk students from the elementary schools to put on to a shopping trip at Target for school supplies and school clothing. And then we also put on a Dream It, Be It program where we provide classes on goal setting and career exploration for young ladies from Chaparral High School. In closing, I would say that this kind of work is very rewarding and all board members should stay involved in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Ann. Next, we have Crystal.
Okay, thank you so much. Similar to Chris Ann, we came out of a smaller private Christian school for my daughters, and through there, and I think overall throughout my life, I've always had just a servant's heart and really worked to develop that in my daughters, and obviously, and also just show that, you know, where one is fortunate, one should give back. So in our district, through the PTA, I have served on the San Dimas High School Board, as well as, and currently serve on the San Dimas High School Board, as well as the District PTA Board as the Legislative Committee Commissioner. And as the Legislative Commissioner, what I do is I actually research any topics that are given to me or any relevant topics to our school district or to schooling in the state of California, present a newsletter every other month to the board and to the presidents for them to review, and just to kind of keep aware of what's going on, what might be coming down the pipeline, and what our state PTA, national PTA, and our local PTA are currently either doing and or advocating for. On the district level, I have served on the endemic committee with the prior superintendent, which was a process to transition our district and maintain our focus going forward out of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the Superintendent's Advisory Council. At San Dimas High School, on the boosters, I serve on both as on the board on the San Dimas High School boosters and bingo, as well as years leading a Girl Scout troop and a year in the Laverne San Dimas Women's Club.
Thank you, Crystal. And the last to answer this question will be Jim.
Figure out how to get off mute. Thank you, Matt. I was raised that community service was a duty. In the city of San Dimas, my wife and I have lived here for 34 years. I grew up with our children in scouts and coach sports, PTA, school site council, grew up with our children. San Dimas Historical Society life member, Festival of Arts for many years, exhibition chair. Currently, I am the school board liaison to the Education Foundation on their advisory board, and a proud member of the McKinley Board of Directors, McKinley Family Services Board of Directors for 10 years, and real proud of the work that they're doing in the community. And I was chairperson of that board for 3 years, and a commissioner with the city of San Dimas for 7 years, and currently one of the ad hoc members of the school board with the city of Laverne. Well, last night at school board, looking ahead at as the pandemic shadow fades and as the sun is rising, looking forward to working with the superintendent and my colleagues to create what I am proposing as the Bonita Roundtable, where we can build relationships around communication and be more effective long-term communication based on relationships. Snapshot of my community, both yesterday and today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim. So now we're on to question number 4 for the candidates. Due to Mr. Musgrove not attending, we are going to, for the candidates, we're going to go to in the schedule to question number 5 sequence. Chris Ann will be first, Crystal will be second, Jim will be third, and then Brittany will be last. So we're continuing the sequence as we have. So with that, this question requires a bit of background. And it has to do with the California Healthy Youth Act, or also known as Assembly Bill 329. A little bit of the background for candidates or attendees that may not know what this is. The purpose of the California Healthy Youth Act is to provide every student with the knowledge and skills necessary to protect their sexual and reproductive health from unintended pregnancy, HIV, and sexually transmitted infections. Assembly Bill 329 is California state law that requires that comprehensive sexual health education and HIV prevention education be provided to students at least once in middle school and once in high school, starting in grade 7. Bonita Unified, and here's the question, and again, we'll be starting with Chris Ann. Bonita Unified School District has implemented the California Healthy Youth Act. Have you reviewed the curriculum adopted by Bonita Unified? What is your opinion of the curriculum? And going forward, how could the district provide additional transparency or additional access to the completed curriculum for parents and community members? And again, we'll be starting with Chris Ann.
Thanks, Matt. I have reviewed the curriculum. As we went through the process in Bonita Unified to choose which of the curriculums we were going to use, I had the responsibility of actually reviewing materials for 5th grade very closely. I worked with a committee of teachers, and we did have some parents that came in at one of our meetings as well. And we went over the material to decide if we were going to implement it at 5th grade. It's a non-mandatory grade, but it's been pretty traditional to do growth and development there. And we made the decision that we weren't going to do it, that the curriculum had moved to an area that encompassed so much above and beyond just growth and development that it was probably inappropriate for that grade. But I looked at what we have adopted for 7th grade and for the high school, and it is covering those important items that you mentioned. And there are many parents in the community who will want their children to go through that curriculum. And then for those parents that review the curriculum or just don't want to be able to handle those discussions with their children at home, they have the option of opting out. And I think that that's really critically important. It's been mentioned that maybe we need to come back and do another community open house, kind of, bring in people and let them see the materials again. It's been 3 years since we began initiating this, and then we had the pandemic. So, really every year there should be an evening where parents can come and view and look at all the materials.
Thank you, Chris Ann. Next, we have Crystal.
Thank you, Matt. So I have not personally reviewed the curriculum, and although I have not gone to the district office and reviewed the curriculum, I have met with parents, specifically in the Bonita Bear Moms, and gone over, their presentations and what they've presented coming forth as what is going to be presented in the actual classes. On the flip side of that, let me rephrase that. This past year, just prior to the end of the school year, my daughter went through the actual Chaya classes. And I will say that we had many, many conversations that came from it. And I think that there are opportunities with this curriculum and the stated goals of the curriculum to open up further communications for parents. And obviously that we are understanding that not every parent and not every family believes that this is the correct route for the school district to be teaching this. However, there are parents who maybe, struggle, maybe do not understand. And this can be an opening point for those parents to have the discussions going forward. I believe fully in transparency and parental input and involvement. And I think that that's something that our district could definitely work towards, not just with the Chaya curriculum, but with any kind of curriculum that can be questionable, or just hearing parents and also taking these items back and figuring ways that we can proactively present information to parents so they are aware of what is going on. We are proactively
Thank you, Crystal. Next, we have Jim on this question.
I thank you for that question. The answer is yes, I have reviewed their curriculum. And AB 329 was passed in 2015, Matt, I believe. It was also updated in by AB 2601 to include charter schools. So the genesis of the Bonita Roundtable, which I proposed last night, which I have support going forward, which I think is going to be key. It's about conversation, both for our 7th graders and of course that's required in high school. I think it's about the conversation based on relationships. It's not a one-time meeting. It's not a parent meeting. It's a community relationship and a dialogue that needs to continue. So that's the heart of the Bonita Roundtable and other key issues going forward. So I'm going to look forward to getting that started. The California Healthy Youth Act is also designed to have to start a conversation, not just with community members and the board, but it's really about a relationship between the student and their parents, because that's really where those types of really important and kind of personal learning opportunities occur. This is important curriculum. It's over a very important set of subjects for our young people, and I support it. But it's about dialogue and learning for the community and for our students. So going forward, I look forward to that dialogue in those relationships. And I thank you for the question. Thanks.
Okay, so last on this question, we have Brittany.
Real quick, it was, have I reviewed it? And then how could we provide additional transparency for the community? Was that the gist of the 2 points?
Correct.
Great. Have I reviewed it? I have reviewed parts of it. And it's interesting because before I reviewed it, I wanted to think to myself, okay, as a parent, what would I want this to start with? Because I do believe that this conversation is best to include parents and start with parents. And I was like, if I was a parent designing this curriculum, I would want it to start with a questionnaire to be completed with the parents. And then I was super stoked when I saw that the junior high very first assignment was a questionnaire sent home to be completed by the parent or by a trusted adult. And I think that's huge. I think including parents and families, using inclusive language, not everybody is home with their parents, including the families is so important. And so I do think it's important to provide additional transparency. And for transparency to actually be transparent, it needs to be proactive, not reactive. And so I do believe in getting in front of that conversation, whether it's an ongoing community roundtable, whether it's a parent education evening that, probably could happen every couple of years, right? Like kids who are just starting may not need to, parents might not need to be in that know quite yet, but as they're getting closer, they're going to want to be involved in that conversation. So we should have that regular conversation be ongoing, because also, let's be real, this conversation and possibly even this curriculum is also going to evolve. So I think that the information needs to be proactive, and it's also important that the information is provided in the community language, in accessible terms, accessible formats, and not simply presented from the language that you would only be familiar with if you were in the district, if you've been on the board for a long time. All of that experience is completely valuable. That's not what I'm saying, but that it's important to be intentional about ensuring that we're communicating information in an intentional language that shows that we're trying to be absolutely transparent, we're putting it all out there, and we're welcoming dialogue.
Okay, thank you, Brittany. Okay, so we're going to go on to our next question. This is going to be our first rapid response question, meaning the response will be less than 30 seconds. And so we'll be starting this question with Crystal, followed by Jim, then Brittany, and then wrapping this question will be Chris Ann. And so this will be a little lighter of a question, I hope. This Saturday, we've got a big game. Smudge Pot 50th anniversary. If you dare to I guess state who's going to win on Saturday.
Well, my husband is a football coach in another district. So I will say I'm praying he wins tonight. Beyond that, my daughter will be performing at the Smudge Pot, both in the band and as a dancer. So I win because I get to see my daughter perform. But in regards to the 50th Smudge Pot, no comment.
Thank you, Crystal. Next, we have Jim.
Smudgepot, 50 years, the community wins. The best team's going to win Saturday night. What a legacy. It's about community, the money raised by the various charity activities around the game, and just the overall look. My son went to San Dimas and my daughter went to Bonita. During Smudgepot, I literally have a jersey that has the Bonita logo on one side and the San Dimas logo on the other side of the jersey. So you know what? It's all about the kids, and it's all about community spirit and about our district and celebrating that legacy. So go to the winning team.
Thank you, Jim. Next, we have Brittany.
Jim snagged my answer. I was going to say the community wins because this tradition's incredible. I'm going to be wearing my favorite blue and green shirt. And I think everybody wins. And you know what? I'm going to say, just to make it interesting, because no one's given me a real answer, that it's going to continue the tie. Can we continue the tie? We can't continue the tie anymore. I wanted to look back. I need to brush up on my football, y'all. I'm not going to joke. My husband's not a football coach. He's a lawyer. Yeah, I'm excited.
And to wrap us up on this, we have Chris Ann.
Okay, I'm completely split, and I have been all these years. I mean, though I first worked at University of Laverne and then Bonita High School, of course it was always Bonita. And then I went to the other side, right? And then I had to root for the other side. But so nowadays, truly, I just, like Jim, I want to wear something with green and blue and just go there and spend half my time on one side and half the time on the other and just enjoy a really good game. It's a very exciting night for our community. Everyone's always in high spirits. I just really appreciate that in this district, we have this really excellent competition that goes on every year. And yeah, it's a great time to celebrate.
Thank you so much. So I think the consensus was the community wins, or that was the safest answer. So thank you so much, candidates. You truly acted like candidates with that question. Again, thank you so much for the first rapid response question. We're going to do another quick rapid response question. And kicking us off on this one will be, I believe it is Jim. So on this one, we have, if you were asked, who's endorsing you? Who would be your I guess your top three or your three go-to responses if someone in the community asked, Jim, who's endorsing you for this race?
So that's going to be a tough answer, and I'll do my best in my rapid response. I'm not asking for endorsements from any local politicians. I'm self-funding. My supporters and the folks who are endorsing me are individuals that I'm having conversations with and who agree to have a yard sign after I have a personal conversation with them. So that's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. So those are the folks who are endorsing me, and the first three were family members.
Thank you. Next, we have Brittany.
My children, my nieces, my nephews, and the voters from the 2020 election, who almost got me in there.
Thank you, Brittany. Next, we have Chris Ann.
Well, I'm going to say Chuck Coyne is retiring, and Diane Coach retired 2 years ago. And both of them combined had over 20 years of experience on the board. And I want to sit on the board for them. I have their skills, I have their support, and the desire to ensure that Bonita continues to be just a world-class educational district. And the endorsement of my husband has been really important to me. I really wanted to have his backing to do this. So thank you.
Okay, and to wrap us up on this one, we have Crystal.
My top 3 endorsements, I would say my number 1 is my high school junior, because running for a campaign takes time, and also I'm running for a campaign in her own school district. So I think it's very important to have her support in this endeavor. Alta Skinner, as somebody who did not endorse me in the last election, I value the work that we have done together and the support that I have been able to earn, as well as Diane Coach, as somebody who has served on our board previously for many years. I think that the support of somebody who has been there and done that is very telling, and is amazing as a way of mentorship moving forward.
Okay, thank you so much, Crystal. So we're going to go back to the standard question with a 1.5 minute maximum response time. Starting us off will be Brittany, followed by Chris Ann, then Crystal, and then Jim. Again, going back to the 5 major governing responsibilities as outlined by the California School Boards Association. One of those is providing support. Providing support through behavior and actions, providing support to the superintendent and staff throughout the district to implement the district's established vision. And to that, the question is, how do you expect to get to know the 13 schools in the districts and those district employees that make it happen day in and day out in those schools throughout the district? How will you support the individual school sites and the district as a whole as a member of the board?
Well, I can tell you one thing. I miss being in the classroom, and I love school. I look forward to being able to visit school sites and be as present as they would like me to be at not only their site, but also events and the such. One of the things that came up when I was actually asking the questionnaire, I do think that it would be a really good idea if the school board started having booths at community events and school events for coffee with a board member type of conversations. I want to be as available as I am able to be. And I do think that it's important to establish that culture of availability. I also think that it's important to respect the structure and the channels and ensuring that I am putting my trust in those. But if you find the balance between both of those things and you make sure that you're doing both of them, I think that you can be pretty effective. Likewise, I really am just like an enthusiastic, energetic person, if you haven't noticed. So like being at games and at plays, my kid's a kindergartner and was already in the San Dimas musical, and I was at every stinking show. So if I'm like that with my one kid, imagine what I could be like representing all of our kids. And I will do that enthusiastically. Our teachers and our educators are the backbone of this district, and they will know that I view them as that. And
Thank you, Brittany. Next, we have Chris Ann.
Well, because I was fortunate to have worked in Bonita for 22 years and only retired in June, I know so many staff members and families that attend Bonita. And I meet so many of them out in the community, and especially in the grocery store checkout line, right? The board does do walkarounds at all the schools, and those are so enlightening. I was able to do some of those as a curriculum director as well. I got out to all the elementary sites frequently, and I can say that I learned something about their programs and their grade level teaching and their needs every time. There are fantastic things going on at all our schools. And because I'm retired, my time is my own, and I plan on visiting schools every opportunity that I get. I'm also planning on doing I'm volunteering, spending some time at Shoal doing some beautification this year. And I also guarantee that I will go to as many events at all the schools as possible. I'd like to spend more time and take a look at some of the secondary pathway programs that I've heard so much about, but I haven't been able to visit. I think it would be it is an important responsibility for board members to be able to learn everything about what's happening in the schools and be able to share that, not just at board meetings, but out in the community. Also, because of my role as the president of Sir Optimus, I am out there in the community at community events, and it gives me an extra opportunity to just tell everyone about the wonderful things happening in Bonita Unified.
Thank you, Chris Ann. Next, we have Crystal.
Thank you. I think that we oftentimes speak about recognizing how amazing Bonita Unified is as a district, but we also have to understand that this is largely due to the wonderful staff, the amazing community, and the commitment that so many people have put forward to this district. And with that, in just thinking about getting to know the different schools and the different employees, and just even employees who are on the classified sides, who are not always, on the school sites, first people that you're going to see. I think that it's very important to not only visit school sites and the back to school nights and the events as you're available to attend them, but it's also, walking through the kitchens and getting to speak with our food services, or walking through the bus barn and getting to speak with our bus drivers. And I think having an open conversation policy. I love to speak with people. My daughter laughs because I speak to people in the grocery store, and we just have these great conversations. And I think that in speaking with people, having these open conversation policy means if you see me in the grocery store, if I see you on a school site, I'm going to say hello and we can have a chat, or you cannot, and that's something that I hold very dear in value. And I think that lastly, just thinking about in the past year, I was actually invited to assist the Extra and PTA in one of their committees. And through there, I attended a couple of their events and did a couple of behind the scenes things with them. And it was so awesome to be a part of a school that I did not attend, that my daughters did not attend, and just meet additional people, not only in our community, but also the staff and the people behind the scenes. So I think that it's something that I truly value and will work to put all the time that I have forward to meet and basically further the community partnerships within this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. And then to wrap up this question, we have Jim.
Right, thank you, Matt. Learning walks, events. I'm a choir nerd. My daughter was both played water polo and she was in choir. Bit of a choir nerd. I was in choir when I was in high school. What's I think also too, just not only the internal staying in touch with community and our school communities and staff, which is essential. In the learning walks, had opportunity to go to back to school nights and have real conversation, listen to parents and listen to what they're hearing at back to school nights, but stay in touch with our cities. We serve 2 cities, and the other communities, the nonprofits and the other organizations that are so much a part of the fabric of this school district and the folks that we serve. And the businesses. We hosted, for our real estate folks earlier this year. So our businesses, our cities, our nonprofits, going to events, SmudgePot. It's going to be a great event and part of the legacy of this district. And that's what makes this district so special. So it takes it all, plus the relationship between the board and the superintendent as a whole. So it's all a part of an overall effort that has to be part of that vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. So the next question, we will start with Crystal. And followed by Jim, Brittany, and then Chris Ann. I'm going to be combining two questions that we received. And for the timekeeper, I'm going to extend the maximum response time to 2 minutes. So this will allow us to kind of touch on two questions with a slightly shorter amount of time. So the question is this, and it's a two-part question. One, what do you see as the future role of public education in society? And what are your greatest fears and hopes for public education over the next 10 plus years?
Sorry, apparently my computer did not agree with unmuting. So what do I see as the future role of public education for society? I think that the role of public education has not changed and should not change. I believe that the role of public education going forward is to continue to provide a top-notch education to the masses. And I think that with that, it is to provide, the truth and the knowledge and to prepare our students to be critical thinkers as they grow up. In regards to fears and hopes over the next 10 years, I think that my greatest fear over the next 10 years is that parents continue to remove students from public education, which can negatively affect the funding and the ability to continue to further and develop and grow the education that is being provided to the masses of students free of charge. And I hope that we, as a state, as a community, as a nation, continue to have and develop the curriculum for our students that prepares them to further go out and live in the world and live, as their own truest individual selves in their lives as adults. I believe that we should, in raising children to be critical thinkers, we should be asking the hard questions and discussing the hard questions and letting the children develop their own thoughts and beliefs and theories moving forward to continue to grow our communities and our nation and really develop not only critical thinking skills, but develop a love and an understanding for education overall.
Okay, next we have Jim.
Thank you for that question. Very intriguing question. So the way I see the future of public education, we have some work to do. We have some challenges. But quite frankly, I believe the future is bright. Things got a little politically charged and polarized during the pandemic, thanks to the election of 2020. But, I see that as an opportunity. And getting back to basics, in this school district, our school district, the district that I love and have loved for, quite some time now, it's about demonstrating leadership and leading by example and about dialogue and relationships. Doggone it, we have this responsibility and we have to answer the call. My fears and hopes, I'm going to twist that a little bit. Over the next 10 years and say that it's an opportunity. And it's going to be based on outcomes. We're in a good place today. We have some challenges, but we have the resources and we have the adult leadership and we have the talent and we need to get on with it and show this county, this state and this country how it should be done. We do have some challenges and we need to confront them head on, but we need to do it as a community. We need to have the hard conversations, not once not, in reaction to certain things. We need to build relationships and maintain those relationships because our students, our children, our communities deserve it, right? And that leadership by example is the heart and the foundation of how this needs to get done. So I don't know that I have any fears, but I have a great hope for the future and think that this district has all the stuff we need to do that very thing. Thank you.
Next, we have Brittany.
Education is it's the investment into our future, right? It's meant to ensure that every kid that comes through our school district is career or college and community ready. That they're ready to take on whatever that after high school step is. And also that our school system maintains the hub of community and collaboration so that kids don't graduate and then lose that connection to home and to their roots, right? I think that's really important. And so I guess because my vision is that education can and should be this great unifier, because what impacts one kid, what impacts your kid impacts my kid, and what impacts their kids impacts our community. So I guess my greatest fear is that we lose sight of that, that we lose sight of or that we begin to focus on my kid and your kid, as opposed to, that all of these kids are the future of our community. They are the hope, right? So I guess my greatest hope is in them. And that we will certainly seize the opportunity to keep education as the hub of community and as the hub of collaboration. And for me, I believe that means empowering students to be involved in that and reaching out in all those different increased student opportunities that I mentioned, and the increased community partnerships that I think we could pursue, so that we're maintaining that that just like really rich sense of community that happens when the school district is united, and when we're recognizing that they're all kids and they're all our community.
Okay, now to wrap up this question, we have Chris Ann.
Thank you. I would agree with Jim that we have some challenges ahead of us in public education. We are competing with charter schools and private schools, and but I think that we're going to do just fine, especially if we have more school districts that model themselves after Bonita. I also agree with Brittany that the investment that education, public education, is our investment into our future, and it's so important. And it kind of warms my heart so much that we have a lot of parent involvement, because it means just truly people are watching us and they care, and that makes us accountable. I would like to mention that Bonita is unique. In Bonita, where we're performing so very high, our board uniquely set a goal to have 80% of our students reach proficiency in reading and 70% in mathematics. And that just isn't done, and it needs to be done in all the public schools. Truly, they need to follow the data. They need to bring in research-based programs like we have done, and to do that for our children, to give them a really great backbone so they can tackle any career or college or career pathway that they'd like to focus on. Having that goal, the 80-70 goal, it's a focus for our staff and an important one. It ensures that we will and should continue to focus on strong academic programs. And Bonita also has the wonderful mental health services that you don't see in a lot of the other districts. We have award-winning fine arts programs, really terrific athletic programs, and all of those things. When you do all of those things in a district, it motivates our children to be there at school, where then we have an opportunity to give them a really wonderful education. So my hopes are that there are more districts like us, that Bonita continues to grow and do good things, I'd like to see career programs, pathways increase. And my fear is that we'll take our eye off the ball and can slip backwards, but hopefully not in Bonita. I'd like to be on the board to make sure that doesn't happen.
Thank you, Chris Ann. So that wraps up this question. The next question will be led off by Jim, followed by Brittany, then Chris Ann and Crystal. But before we get to that question, I just wanted to highlight tonight we're joined by Anthony Porter, who is the current president of the Laverne San Dimas Educational Foundation. He has left a comment in the chat. So I encourage all of you to connect with the foundation that supports every single one of our students and every single one of our schools throughout the district. And we are better for them. So again, just wanted to highlight that comment. Thank you, Anthony, for joining us tonight. And with that, we're going to be going to the next question. Again, this will be started off with Jim. And this is the last question specific to the outlined 5 major governing responsibilities of a board as outlined by the California School Boards Association. And just so you know, the document that I'm referencing in regards to school board responsibilities is located in the forum packet. And that link was put in the chat. I will also add that to the end. So the responsibility is setting the direction for public schools in the community. And the question for the candidates is, what does equity and inclusion in education mean to you? How is BUSD successful in promoting equity and inclusion? And how can the district improve?
Thank you. Thank you for that. To me, equity means all of the students and children that we serve in our district have access to our educational dollars, and that we find a way to make sure that that they find their voice to get what they need to be successful, that they have access to their dreams, to live their purpose, regardless of their ethnicity, their background, where they came from, what native language they speak. And that's oftentimes as this world changes and the demographics of this district change, the story changes and needs change. And those are things that we need to pay keen attention to and pay attention to outcomes and how we measure our success. So inclusion means telling that story and making sure that we stay laser focused on the needs of the students and children that we serve, and that we continue to have that dialogue and listen to the parents of the students and children that we serve. So again, equity is something that's laser focused on in our district, and that all students, to help them be successful, have access to the dollars and the resources in the classroom to find their voice and to be successful, whatever that means to them. At whatever grade level, primary or secondary. So that's my mission, and something that's very personal to me, both in my career and as a father and as a member of this community and as a member of this school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next, we have Brittany.
Thanks for that question. Equity means equal access to all opportunities. So it doesn't necessarily mean equal outcomes, but it does mean that everyone has equal access to opportunities. One of the opportunities for growth in BUSD on this front, I noticed in the local indicators, it was identified that many of our CTE programs are actually kind of prohibited by transportation issues. So that's something that the school district's going to be looking into. If kids don't have access to transportation to get them here and there, how is it that we provide equitable access regardless of where they come from? And a success story of BUSD would be, you know, in the shutdown and now here on after, ensuring that every student has Wi-Fi and Chromebooks and everything that they needed to engage and be successful. That spirit of equity is something that is necessary for public education, citing this last answer of public education's purpose being investing in our future. If we're letting students slip through the cracks, that means we're letting part of the future of our community slip through our cracks. And so that's why that matters. Inclusion is about a culture that welcomes and I believe nurtures all people, regardless of race, religion, sexuality, political beliefs, all kinds, right? I think it might sound flowery. I think it comes down to love. Like, I just simply love people. And I think people need to feel that love in our school sites. And they typically do. A really small example, maybe not small, depending on your perspective. I recall my kindergarten coming home with a community heroes project where she made construction paper pictures of community heroes, and all of them had skin that looked like me and none of them had skin that looked like her. And we have a unique family where I really recognize that as something that bums me out. So part of my gift to her teacher this year was a pack of colors like me construction paper. I think that that's a micro example of how we need to be intentional about having a spirit of inclusion, because it would be really sad for a kindergartner to walk away feeling like they don't look like community heroes. That's
Thank you, Brittany. Next, we have Chris Ann on this question.
Thank you. With equity, I think we also have to remember that we have to give different supports to different students. They all have different needs. And so interventions and making sure they're there in the right places, and then also challenges for our kids that need to move ahead. Equity is just all about the individual child and finding what it's going to take to make that child successful in Bonita Unified. Inclusion, I'd like to say that we live in a really diverse state and a diverse city, and it's also ever evolving. I'd like to think that we give each subgroup, ethnic groups, socioeconomic groups, the supports that they need. But the data does show us that in Bonita, we still have some room to grow. Our assessment scores and surveys show that some of our students are not engaged or don't feel welcome or supported, and that makes me sad. Now we do have an equity committee in Bonita Unified, and after delays due to the pandemic, the district and the committee were able to collect some data last spring, and I know that that committee will be working this fall to look at that data. Also, the administrators have been challenged to look at all of their assessment scores and disaggregate that data and really look at where subgroups could use some extra support. Our equity committee also has student representatives, which I think is really positive. And I'd like to say also, just as what we're kind of challenging everyone in our district to do is to kind of look at their unconscious biases and work to understand those and be better. As a board member, I always would keep that in mind and share that idea with others. I support having a group of stakeholders, teachers, admin, and board members regularly meet to address issues of diversity, equity, and other perceived needs in Bonita Unified. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Ann. And in wrapping up this question, we have Crystal.
Thank you. And thank you to whoever asked this question. I think it's a wonderful question. What equity and inclusion mean to me? You know, equity, it's defined as just the quality of being fair and impartial, but to me, it means so much more than that, because it doesn't mean providing every student with the same items. It means providing every student with what they specifically need to succeed. And beyond that, it's one of our core values in Bonita Unified. And I think that it's something that I have seen over and over a focus on and a drawing back when there are issues or there are concerns. It's something that I see so often, not just the district and the superintendents and the board, but principals and administrators. I see them just draw back to what is our core value. It's equity is part of that, and how are we ensuring we're being equitable in what we are providing our students. With inclusion, including people in the group and in the structure, but also ensuring that everybody feels welcome to be included where they want to be or where they are excited or interested in being. And I think that seeing so many different programs being rolled out. I know that I was able and fortunate to participate at San Dimas High School. They recently did a poverty exercise with all of their staff to bring attention to and to highlight the differences and the fights that many people can face with just the structure when they are, below a certain poverty line. And it was so eye-opening, and it was so beneficial to hear a lot of the staff members comment about how it's something that they're going to take with them and also take with them into the new school year and as they're dealing with students. And I think that these are examples of real dedication to the core values of equity within BUSD. And as Chris Ann noted, I know
Thank you, Crystal. Okay, so we have finished the Q&A portion. I promised the candidates that this would be a 2-hour commitment. So we still have closing statements to make. Before we transition to that section, I want to give the candidates a little bit of a breather. I want to thank for attending our BUSD board president, Chuck Coyne, and also what demonstrates the great community partnerships that we have between the district and the cities. We have a representative from the city of San Dimas in John Ebner, council member, and Mayor Tim Hepburn. So I want to thank our city leaders for joining us for this wonderful forum. Thank you so much to the candidates, again, for saying yes, allowing us the opportunity to get better acquainted with you as you wish to serve the communities that we all live in and love. So we're going to transition to the closing statements. And to kick us off, for the closing statements, and again, it's a 3-minute maximum, will be Chris Ann.
Before making a closing statement, I want to thank Matt again for facilitating tonight's event. It is so important for our communities to have the opportunity to get to know the candidates. And I also want to thank each of the candidates that came tonight, because they all have a drive to help support Bonita Unified. And now, as a closing statement, I want to say that I firmly believe that I'm the best candidate for the open seat representing San Dimas and Laverne. Under my leadership, I was able to motivate and teach and monitor a BUSD elementary school to attain 3 state awards, the only National Blue Ribbon Award ever attained in this district, and to go on and help spread an effective literacy program throughout the district. I continue to have the drive that helped me help our students. There is more work to be done. We have to look, for example, to budget carefully to encourage employment in BUSD, and to also maintain those mental health counselors and intervention specialists and intervention sections in secondary schools. And also I wanted to say in closing that I have some other important skills. I've worked on negotiating teams with both bargaining units, and I'm proud that I was selected because I know that members in both associations know and trust me. I also have experience with special education, student council, working with PTAs, school site councils, creating safety plans, and working with the school resource officers. With that said, I'd like to say, frequently I've been asked what drives me, and my husband would tell you that I don't settle for second best, but I'd say that it's because I feel 100% accountable to people who reach out to me. I always follow through. I'm a problem solver and a visionary who believes that we can always improve. I love to learn, do research, look at data, and share what I find. I believe our children deserve the best. They deserve equity, great academics, wonderful art programs, athletic programs, teachers and support staff who are well-trained and well-supported to go all out to meet the needs of students and families in Bonita. Please take the time to visit my website or reach out to talk to me, and thank you for your attention and time this evening.
Thank you, Chris Ann. Next, we have Brittany.
Sorry, y'all, 3-year-olds wake up sometimes. Thank you so much for having this opportunity and for the community who showed up and for the candidates who came. We are here because we care. I've been serving this community really fervently since my family first planted roots. And the reason we planted roots here is because we knew we were invested in the future of this community. And that's truly what I am here for. I have shifted my enthusiasm to serving the school district once my kids became school age. Because of that work, I have been honored to get to work alongside, learn from, and yes, earn the endorsement of Alta and Peggy Redmond and Susan Hume and Mayor Hepburn and Councilmember Ebonier. Thank you for joining us. I'm happy to have your endorsement. And there is a number of other sitting council members and former school board members. You can see my full endorsement list on my website, brittanyforbusd.com. But the reason I answered my 3 top endorsements with my children and my niece and nephews, both blood and chosen in the school district, as well as the voters from last election, is because that's truly who I answer to, right? As a school board member, I am thankful for the city officials and the partnerships and the lessons that I've learned from them, as well as the future collaboration I hope to have. But I am there to serve the students best and to represent the voters with integrity and transparency. And I think a unique fervor. I have absolutely I am simply called to serve this community, and I will continue to do that one way or another. And I do believe that I have shown through the track record of how I have served in a variety of different avenues that I am in it for the long haul. And I think that's what you want, is the school district to have not just commitment to the current, but certainly vision for the future. And this cute little future is very squirmy right now. Furthermore, I really do appreciate Bonita Unified School District. We have accomplished incredible achievements and have some really incredible goals. What I really find inspiring is that we do that with an unduplicated count, unlike other high-performing school districts. So that puts Bonita Unified in this really incredible opportunity to literally be a model of how we do things here. And while we've accomplished some incredible things, I think there's some incredible opportunities to do a little more, to be a little bit more intentional about health and wellness, to be a little bit more intentional about having a culture of inclusion. Another thing that I recognized when reviewing the local indicators and the goals that BUSD is setting is that while 90% of parents report being well informed of the happenings on their campuses, only 79% feel welcomed on the campuses. So we have a real opportunity to identify and find solutions for how to close that gap. As a new parent, I can be really honest and say I have some ideas and I have a perspective to share. Furthermore, I know
Thank you, Brittany. Next, we have Jim.
Good evening once again. I thank the Bonita Democratic Council for sponsoring this event, as well as our moderator, Mr. Matt Lyons, a former school board member, for facilitating tonight's forum. And I'd also like to thank all the folks that came out to participate. My name is Jim Elliott, and I am running for the seat on the Bonita Unified Board of Education in the newly formed Trust Area 3. It's been quite a year in forming around the trustee areas around the California Voting Rights Act. Something I think we can all be proud of, and love to have a conversation with you about that very thing. With this campaign, I recommit myself to the school district I love, and will always organize whatever I do around the 4 A's, the 4 pillars of academics, arts, athletics, and activities. Please vote for me on or before November 8th. And please reach out to me at Jim Elliott for the number 4 school board on Instagram, Jim Elliott 4 BUSD on Facebook, JS Elliott at roadrunner.com, or 909-592-4240. And all of that contact information is on those sites. Thank you once again, and good evening, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the community. And I'm much better at one-on-one conversations. This is a little out of my comfort zone, so look forward to seeing you around town and on campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And to wrap up the closing portion, we have Crystal.
Thank you, Matt. I would first like to thank the Bonita Democratic Club for hosting today's event and hosting it so flawlessly and providing us all the information that we've needed. And while I'm not seeking the Bonita Democratic Club's counsel or endorsement, I thank you for giving all of the candidates who wish to participate the capability and ability to reach our greater community and have our greater community hear and understand our thoughts and our visions and what we're looking forward to in the community. I would like to thank my fellow candidates who are here tonight, and thank you really for your love and dedication to this district and to our students, because when I participate in things like this, I feel assured that the future and the education of my daughter is in great hands, whether I'm elected or not. And I'd like to thank community members who took the time out of their evenings to participate and to listen in to the candidates and to be heavy participants in our democratic process. I have seen and understand the value of education since I was very young in my entire life. And I understand that the power that it has to change a life and change the direction of where people are heading. It's for this specific reason why I chose this district for my daughters, for the academics, for the athletics, for the community, for the arts that it offered. And it is also for this reason that I have committed myself as a volunteer in any capacity that I can, and why I'm here today as a candidate to further that commitment to education. I believe that I am the right candidate with the right style of leadership, the right style of collaboration, and an open conversation policy that can continue to build bridges in this district and to work with the board moving forward and bringing Bonita to all of the goals that they have in moving forward. I, if elected, commit to the community and to our staff, and most importantly to the students, to always place the interests of everybody above any personal interests, and know that it is with this community and with just the best for our students that every decision would be made going forward. So please feel free to reach out to me, votebacon4busd@gmail.com. Similar to Mr. Elliott, I do really well on one-on-ones, but as you can see, I get a little nervous doing larger conversations like this. But again, I thank you all for tuning in today, and I thank you all for being informed voters. And everybody, I wish you have a good night.
Thank you, Crystal. And before we wrap up, I wanted to also do one more last shout out. I wanted to thank Peter Hidalgo, who is our Mount SAC trustee for the area, for joining us tonight. Mount SAC is the largest single campus community college district in the state of California, and we are so blessed to have them as a community college that services our community and our schools. And there's just him being here demonstrates the significant value of partnerships between the community college districts and the unified school districts that are in the same service area. So thank you, Peter. And you know what? A big round of applause to each and every one of the candidates who said yes to our invitation, so that we as community members, we as voters can get better acquainted. And for all of you attendees who joined us tonight, I hope you see value in this forum. I hope you see value in the questionnaire that we asked every candidate to complete. And you see value enough to share it within your own social networks, so that we can together create an informed community, and that together we are partners in stimulating an interest in active participation of our local elections. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you to all the candidates, and thank you for all who attended. For those who are watching this in a recorded fashion, I hope you too also saw value in it, and please share it far and wide. And you all have a great rest of your night.